Hello everyone. Um Sorry in advance. I am sick. I've filmed another video, or will be filming another video. Not sure if I'm going to put up the one that I filmed the first time or if I'm going to film it again. But I did want to get this video to you guys. So, I'm sorry in advance because I am sick and you kind of hear it. But I wanted to give you this video because I have been talking about this is what I would be talking about next, like, where have I been and kind of how where I am now as far as life and career go. So I kind of gave a little snippet about that in my last video, but the last time I was filming consistently, I had just gotten married. I mean, I'm still married, so we're 5 years in. We just had our 5 year anniversary 2 days ago, and so we're 5 years in, and we have a 1.5 year old now. And I was working at a social service agency that I had been working at since 2015. So I just quit that job in the beginning of the year. But we're going to rewind. I was in school working there part time. So I'll rewind a little bit more. 2014, I graduated with my bachelor's in social work. I went right into a master's program, which started 2 days after I graduated. So it was really like a quick turnover. So I really had no chance to even breathe. I was in that program and I was working part time. That summer, I was working part time at a grocery store that I've been at for years. Grocery store and school. So this was an advanced placement master's program. So I was taking 12 credit hours at the time. So 12 credit hours and working. Fall came and I tacked on an internship. And so I was interning, I was working, and I was in school. And then the next, you know, spring came, or winter, spring, whatever, spring came, and I tacked on a part-time job at the social service agency. The social service agency is where I did my internship when I was an undergrad, and they offered me a position. They thought that I did great work. They knew that I was finished with school, but then they were like, "Oh, you went back for your master's. Cool. So you can work here part time for your last part of your master's program, and then we'll hire you on full time." So I was working there part time, interning, working at the grocery store part time, and in school. And I got overwhelmed, and something had to get sat down. And I sat down my master's program. I finished my internship. I had two projects pretty much that was left at the end of my master's program, which was my thesis. One was in policy and one was in research. They could actually be combined, but they had to have more elements of policy in one, more elements of research in the other one. So the teachers were like, "We'll just come back in the summer and you'll finish." And I never went back. So I just started working full time, and I was still working my part time job. Then we'll fast forward, me getting pregnant, and was still kind of working at the grocery store part time, but it became a little tough, as you know. Well, I mean, you don't know, but I worked at Aldi, which is a different kind of grocery store. If you know about Aldi, people know, like, oh, it'd be like one cashier in there and she's hauling ass or he's hauling ass. They're taking out trash, they're stocking everything, they're doing everything. So yes, that was me, pregnant and all. And so I had to slow down a bit there, and they understood. They was like, okay, we'll schedule you if there's two cashiers, and you could just ring and not do so much of the physical stuff. And you would close the store, so you would just do cleaning at night. And they didn't put me on like the early weekends where I would come in at 6 to throw the load and stock the shelves pretty much. So they were very accommodating. But my social service job was not. And like, I didn't need accommodations for work. Oh, it's on that, Miles. I didn't need like work accommodations, but I had my supervisors tell me, and I look back on it like, wow, this was not great. Um, I needed to change my doctor's appointments because they interfered with staff meetings. And I was like scheduled with my doctor to see him on a specific like time and day because it worked for him and worked for I. He was in the office like the kind of OB. He wasn't just in the office Monday through Friday. He had on-call shifts where he would be at the hospital delivering babies and all that stuff. So it wasn't like I would be like, oh, well, I won't have anything on Monday, so let's do Monday. It's like, this is what he has available, or you can see another doctor. And I was very particular, like I am very particular about seeing my doctor. He is my doctor. So they were giving me issues with that, and I took it. Like, what do you do? So I'm trying to accommodate my job. I would still be coming in after my appointments, but I would just come in late, and I would try to do early appointments. So I would get there, but like staff meetings were like first thing in the morning kind of a thing. And so I literally saw like coworker who wasn't there because it was her anniversary. Other people who would like leave for the day, and like nothing was said to them. And if it was, I didn't know about it. But for me, I felt singled out. And I would say like, well, I'm going to the doctor. And honestly, like, let's be honest, y'all, staff meetings don't really tell you much. Everybody know that. People miss staff meetings all the time. People strolling after half the staff meeting or leave, like, all right, I gotta go. I, you know, uh-oh, my little. So I had those issues. My supervisor would come to me and say, people are looking for you. Hold on, y'all. Okay, so my supervisor would come to me and say, um, we shared our calendars with our supervisor, and then who other staff who you felt maybe needs to know your schedule. And so the receptionist had my schedule, and so did my supervisor. Now it would be, I think she had full detail. So, but I never wrote a lot. So it would just be like client appointment with Jane Smith and location, because I worked out of 2 offices. Hold on, y'all. Okay, so my supervisor could see my schedule, but she would come to me and say, people are asking where you are. I really don't have an answer for them, so I need to know where you are at all times. So I worked out of 2 offices. We had a main office, and then we had a office in another part of the county. And I would work there because that was my kind of territory. So any clients that came from that area would be my clients. And it would be easier to work with them in their area instead of them having to travel to my area, which could be anywhere from, you know, 15 to 25, 30 minutes away, depending on where else they had to come from. So I'm like, well, you have my schedule. What more do you need? And it would say, like I said, Jane Smith, this time, this day, this area, and the client's phone number. Oh, I just need more detail. Like, what? I'm putting in case notes after, but that part was just kind of like I felt singled out. The other people were like, well, no, she'll ask me where I am and this and that. And I'm like, but like, if you have my schedule, like, what else do you need? And so there was an incident where she sent an email and was like, if you're going to work from home, it needs to be documented. And you have to kind of show what you did all day and kind of have it approved beforehand. So I was in the satellite office that day. I saw the email and I just disregarded it. It was like, okay, a mental note. It didn't say anything like, let me know if you have any questions. Not even let me know if you have any questions. It was like, let me know that you received this or anything. And it was like a blast to the whole program staff. So then later on, she sent me a text and was like, hey, did you get my email? And I'm like, so I'm like checking my email, like there's another email that was just maybe, addressed to me about something pertinent. So I'm like looking, and it was the only email that she had sent that day. So I'm like, are you talking about the work from home email? Like, yeah, I got it. And she was like, she said something else. And I was like, and what she said made me like, she doesn't even realize that I'm in the other office, though my schedule says it and the appointments that I have are set up there. So I'm like, she says like, okay, well, can you call me was something. I'm like, well, I'm with a client. And so we had a meeting like later on that week, and it was just like, you didn't even look at, I told her, like, you didn't even look at my schedule. Okay, well, this time I probably didn't, but I'm just saying, like, I just need to know where you are. Now, I had a stalker that would come into my main office looking for me. He was an old client that when he got out, he just like kept coming up there. He would sit outside, like wait for hours. Like if they were like, she's not here, it was like really, really creepy dude. Like sexual predator, everything. Like, yeah. So, it wasn't like, oh, well, we need to know where you are for your safety. She'd be like, oh, well, people are looking for you. I'm like, well, who tried to contact me and couldn't get in touch with me? Who emailed me? Who called me? Who stopped past my office and like couldn't get me that they need to come to my supervisor? Oh, well, I'm not going to go back and forth about that. I'm just saying. No, that means people are just trying to be nosy instead of doing their job. So all this is going on. I'm trying to grow a baby, and it just didn't feel right. So I had things going on with my pregnancy that my doctor, I would have to go in for tests, ultrasounds, and things like that. And my supervisor would just be like, I mean, and I had time to be off. Like I had PTO time. I accumulated PTO time every 2 weeks. I mean, it wasn't like I did have a vacation in October, um, before I had my baby, but this was even after that. Like I had PTO time. So she would just be like, like kind of like I was lying about going to the doctor. And so my doctor would like, I would get doctor's notes to bring, like, even though that wouldn't change the fact that I had to use PTO time, but you know, she's at the doctor. And so this just goes to show that it was real, that I didn't realize how real it was, that Black women are not believed when it comes to their pain, to their illnesses. Like, we're not believed. I had another coworker who was pregnant at the same time, and she was literally a week ahead of me. And so she went to her doctor's appointment. She didn't have as many because she didn't have complications like I did. But no one ever said anything to her. But they were like, oh, well, she's senior staff, so she has different, nobody is looking for her. She doesn't have clients and this and that. My clients understood. Like, if I had to push my clients back, I had a work phone. So if I had to text my client like, hey, I know we had a meeting today at 1. Are you able to meet at 3? Or are you able to meet tomorrow morning? And my client said yes or no, or we rescheduled. That had nothing to do with my supervisor. Because if my doctor's telling me, oh, well, you have to stay because we have to monitor your baby, I'm not going to bug up, got a client appointment. No. And so I stayed at my job. I had my son. I came back. And it just, I tasted those sour grapes for a while. And a contract position came available that I was told about infant mortality in the county that I worked in. I don't live in that county, but it affects Black women in the county that I live in just as much, that our babies are dying at 3 times the rate of white babies. And why is that? And I see firsthand that it's because we're not believed. Our pain levels, our illnesses are not believed. I was put on bed rest at 29 weeks, 28 and some change, I think. So 29 weeks, I was out until I had my son at 36 weeks. Even when I went in to have my son, they were like, oh, we're going to be sending you back home. Why? My contractions are strong. They're hitting every 4 minutes. Like, what's up? Well, you're too, early. So we're, okay, well, let's check you. Oh, you went from, 1 to 3 centimeters. I guess you're going to have this baby. Like, I've seen articles, women being sent home at 5.5 centimeters, contractions coming. Black women are being kicked out of the hospital for being combative. Like, these things are real. And so the work that I do now, I work with community health workers who go out and help these mothers throughout their pregnancy up until their children are age 1, because our babies are dying because they're coming too early and they're coming too small. But it's an implicit bias that these doctors have on us and employers have on us meaning Black women, that they can't be telling the truth. So I went through the community worker course as well to be a certified community health worker. And one of the girls in the class, it was sad to me. She lost her baby at 38 weeks. And while another girl in the class had her baby at 26 weeks. And the girl at 26 weeks, she's like, I still have my child. I still have my daughter. And so it's just those kind of things that just, it makes what you do purposeful. Because I can say as a mother, as a Black mother, my son is my number one priority. Yet that's not the priority of the doctors and nurses that care for us sometimes. And that is disheartening. So what I do now is I make sure that they have resources. The community health workers in my area have resources and training to help them do their jobs, to make sure that they are effectively getting the mothers in their communities the resources that they need. So whether it's lactation, breastfeeding supports, whether that's getting them cribs, car seats, things like that. That's what I do now. Now my contract is coming up to be ending at the end of the year, but I'm hoping to get something renewed because the work that I do, and on top of being able to work from home for the most part, I really don't go in. I go to meetings. I'm in the community doing things, but my office is literally in my living room. I'll show you guys one day when it's clean. So I'm my own boss, and I love that. I'm able to be home with my son who has doctor's appointments out the butt. He does go to daycare now. That was for socialization, and when I needed to finish my certification, he needed somewhere to go besides being home with me all the time. So yes, so the work that I do now is more meaningful. I mean, I was definitely helping individuals prior, but now this is a level that goes deeper than just helping people with surface things. These are things that are going to be not only affect them, and I'm not saying the work that I did prior wasn't just affecting them and their families, but growing a child is so sacred and should be protected on all ends, though. Black, white, Hispanic women. But Black women, if our babies are dying at 3 times the rate as white babies, that needs to be addressed. And Hispanic women are dying, their babies are dying 2 times the rate in my area. This is a call to action, so what I do means so much more to me than what I did prior. And I did take a pay cut, but I'm my own boss. I'm able to kind of move how I want. I mean, I do grant reporting and things like that, but I don't have those stipulations of clocking in and out somewhere. I have a supervisor, she's the person that does over the grant, but the work is so meaningful that it has made a difference in my own life and just how I see things and the support and love that I want to give. So now I am pending my community health worker certification, and I'm going back for my master's, y'all. But I'm also pending CLC, so I'm helping with lactation. I'm also pending infant massage instructor. So these things that are helping with, intimacy and touch with moms and their babies. I've dove into this work because it's what I want to do. So even if I'm not doing it where I am now, I'm going somewhere to do it, period. And as you can hear, my little is wanting me. So I will talk to you guys later. Hopefully this explains some things. If you guys have any questions or need anything, message me below or send me something in my inbox. All right, see y'all.